The wind howled through the streets of New York, carrying with it a chill that made Scarlett draw her coat tighter around her body. She had just finished her late shift at the downtown gallery and was heading home when something stopped her. A man stood at the far end of the block. His silhouette was eerily familiar. Tall, broad shoulders, the way he leaned slightly on his left leg, just like... Her heart skipped. No, it couldn't be. Scarlett blinked and the figure disappeared into the crowd. She stood frozen for a moment, heart racing, then shook her head. It wasn't him. It couldn't be. Nathan was dead. They buried him 2 years ago. She had cried over the coffin, touched the cold casket, watched it lower into the earth. He was gone. Right? Later that night she sat in her apartment with a glass of wine, curled up on the couch in Nathan's old hoodie. She hated how she still wore it, how his scent still clung to the fabric like a ghost refusing to let go. She closed her eyes. And then, a knock at the door. She flinched. It was 12:17 a.m. No one ever knocked this late. She crept toward the door, heart pounding, then peered through the peephole. Empty hallway. She opened the door slowly. No one. Just a package on the floor. Inside was a single object. A black notebook. Her name etched into the leather in handwriting she hadn't seen in years. Nathan's. Her hands trembled as she opened the first page. If you're reading this, I'm back. The next morning she went to the police. They shrugged it off. Said someone was playing a prank. Maybe a friend. Maybe a sick ex. But that night it happened again. A knock. A shadow disappearing. And this time, she saw his eyes through the window. Green. Piercing. Like fire behind glass. Exactly like Nathan's. She didn't sleep. Couldn't eat. She knew what everyone would say. Grief makes people see things. Hallucinations. Trauma. But then on the fourth night he walked into the gallery. In a black coat. A few faint scars on his cheek. A darker presence. But the same man. Same jawline. Same voice. Same look that used to undress her from across a room. Scarlett, he said softly, as if saying her name hurt him. She stepped back, breath caught in her throat. No. This is a trick. It's me. I watched you die. I held your sister while she screamed your name. I buried you. He nodded once. I know. And I'm sorry. She slapped him. Hard. Tears streamed down her face. How dare you? He let her hit him again. And again. Then he took her hand gently. I never stopped loving you. And she broke. Because she hadn't either. They didn't make it home. By the time they reached the stairwell behind the gallery, the heat between them had already melted logic. His lips were on hers, hungry and desperate. She kissed him back like she was dying and he was her heir. He pressed her against the wall, their bodies colliding like thunder. Her hands tore at his coat, his mouth trailed kisses down her neck, her moans soft and aching. You feel the same, he whispered against her skin. She yanked his shirt open, her voice trembling. You still taste like sin. They didn't stop. Right there, against the cold concrete, she wrapped her legs around him and let him back into the only place he'd ever truly belonged. Inside her. It wasn't just sex. It was years of pain, grief, rage, and love. Exploding all at once. When it ended, she lay on his chest, heart still racing. What the hell are you? She whispered. He stroked her hair gently. Not the same man you buried. But the one who never left you. 3 weeks later. Scarlett stood in her bathroom, staring at the pregnancy test. Positive. Her hand shook as she sank to the floor. Everyone said Nathan was dead. So how the hell was she pregnant with his child? Scarlett couldn't sleep. Her fingers clutched the edge of the bathroom sink, eyes locked on the positive pregnancy test that sat like a bomb on the counter. It had to be Nathan's. There hadn't been anyone else. No flings. No drunken mistakes. Just that night in the stairwell. The night she lost her mind and gave her body back to a man she buried 2 years ago. She ran her fingers over her stomach. Barely anything there yet. But something was growing. A part of him. A part of the past that refused to stay buried. She met him again 2 nights later. He was waiting at her apartment door, leaning against the frame like he used to before sneaking in at midnight. His hoodie was the same. But his eyes, They weren't. They were colder. Still beautiful. Still Nathan. But different. He looked like a man who had survived something cruel. "Come in," she said, stepping aside. He entered without a word. She waited until the door clicked shut, then turned. "I need answers." He nodded slowly. "I know. Start talking." Nathan exhaled, rubbing his jaw. "You're not going to like any of it." She folded her arms. "Try me." "I didn't die in the crash," he began. "They wanted it to look that way. Company I worked for, Avenir Biotech. You thought I was doing data security, right?" She nodded cautiously. "I lied. I was part of a classified program. Memory science. Brain mapping. They called it Project Umbra. I didn't even understand it fully until it was too late." Scarlett's heart sank. He kept going. "They said it was about healing memory loss. Treating trauma. But it was darker. They wanted to rewrite memories. Erase them. Replace them. Program people to believe new truths. Use them." Scarlett felt her knees weaken. Nathan saw her face and softened his voice. "The night of the crash, they staged it. I tried to leave. Tried to expose them. I had files. Proof. They caught me." "What did they do to you?" He looked down. "They erased me. Locked me in a facility. Pumped me full of experimental drugs. I didn't know my name for almost a year." Scarlett's eyes welled. "Why didn't you come back?" "I couldn't remember who I was," he said. "But then I started dreaming of you. Over and over. Your face. Your voice. Your laugh. And when I finally escaped, I found my way to you." Her heart twisted. She believed him. She wanted to believe him. But something inside her whispered, "Not everything adds up." "Why now?" she asked. "Why come back after all this time? After letting me grieve like a widow for 2 years?" He stepped closer, his voice breaking. "Because I never stopped loving you. Even when they tried to delete you from my brain, they couldn't." He felt it again. That fire. That weakness. That part of her that still burned only for him. When he touched her face, she didn't pull away. When he kissed her, she kissed him back. Soft, long, ache-filled. And then he whispered into her mouth, "You're pregnant, aren't you?" She pulled away. Her chest tight. "How did you know?" "I felt it." Scarlett's stomach turned. "What do you mean felt it?" He hesitated. "I can sense things now. Changes. Your heartbeat. Your body's rhythms. Like, I'm wired differently." She took a slow step back. "You're scaring me." Nathan nodded. "I scare myself." That night she lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Nathan was in the next room. But her mind was spinning. Because the man in her apartment looked like Nathan. Spoke like Nathan. Touched her like Nathan. But when he slept, he didn't breathe like Nathan. She stood quietly in the doorway watching him. He didn't move. Not once. Not a twitch. Not a breath. Scarlett didn't sleep that night. Not because she wasn't tired. Because she was terrified. Nathan lay in the next room completely still, like a machine turned off. No snoring, no tossing, no human signs of rest. She had timed him. 2 full minutes. No breathing. And yet, his eyes had opened like a predator in the dark the second she approached. The next morning she made coffee with shaky hands. Nathan stood by the window shirtless, his back covered in thin, jagged scars. Scars she didn't remember. "Rough dreams?" he asked softly. She didn't answer. Instead she sipped her coffee and stared. "I watched you last night," she finally said. He didn't flinch. "I know. You didn't breathe." He turned. Met her eyes. "You noticed. Why didn't you tell me?" Nathan sighed. "Because I don't understand it myself. Whatever they did to me, it changed things." Scarlett's throat dried. "Changed what?" He stepped closer. "I don't get sick. I don't feel pain the same way. My body heals faster. I don't need to sleep. I can hear things across the building. Smell things people can't. You sound like a weapon." His jaw clenched. "Maybe that's what they made me." Scarlett's eyes filled with tears. "You're not him anymore." "I am," he said quickly, reaching out. In here. In every memory, every scar, every feeling I've ever had for you. She looked away. Then why do I feel like I let a stranger into my bed? Silence. Then Nathan whispered, because you did. That night she let him kiss her again. He didn't know why. Maybe because the pain of loving him hurt less than the pain of letting him go. Maybe because she was already carrying his child. Or maybe because he kissed her like he remembered every inch of her soul. His lips brushed her collarbone as she lay under him, her breathing shallow, her skin burning. Are you afraid of me? He whispered against her neck. She nodded slowly. Yes. Good, he said, and then kissed her like she belonged to him. And she let him. Because part of her still did. He made love to her like time was running out. Slow, intense, memorizing every sound she made, every place that made her tremble. His hands were warm, his eyes dark with need, and when he was inside her, she forgot her own name. Only his mattered. Nathan. The man she buried. The man who came back. Afterward she lay on his chest. Listening. Still no heartbeat. Still no breathing. Just silence. And warmth. She pressed her palm against his chest. How are you alive? He stared at the ceiling. They said I was the first successful prototype. Scarlett sat up. Prototype. He hesitated. They implanted something inside me. A neural core. I don't know what it does. But ever since, I've had memories that don't feel like mine. Dreams of places I've never been. Skills I didn't learn. Scarlett's lips parted in disbelief. You're saying you're part machine? I don't know what I am anymore. But you're still a human? He paused. Then whispered, I hope so. Scarlett couldn't breathe. The man she loved. The man who got her pregnant. Wasn't even sure if his soul still belonged to him. And then something worse hit her. What if the child inside her wasn't fully human either? She stumbled into the bathroom, locked the door, and collapsed against the wall. She was pregnant. With a man the world said was dead. A man with no heartbeat. No breath. No certainty of what he even was anymore. What was she bringing into this world? And worse, who else knew? That night, while Nathan was in the shower, her phone lit up. Unknown number. He doesn't belong to you. He belongs to us. And so does the child. Scarlett's blood turned cold. And she realized something terrifying. This wasn't just a love story. It was a war. And she was already on the wrong side of it. Scarlett didn't sleep. She sat on the couch, her phone clenched in her hand, rereading the message 100 times. He doesn't belong to you. He belongs to us. And so does the child. Every word twisted in her stomach like glass. She thought she was carrying a child. But to them it was a product. She glanced down at her belly. Barely a bump yet. But now it felt like a target. The shower shut off. Nathan stepped out, towels slung low on his hips, water dripping from his chest. His eyes landed on her instantly. You okay? He asked, walking closer. She nodded. Like, I just couldn't sleep. He kissed her forehead, lingering. We'll leave town tomorrow. I have a contact in Montana. Remote. Off-grid. Safe. Are you sure anywhere safe? He didn't answer. Because deep down, he knew the answer was no. They packed at sunrise. Scarlett moved through the apartment like a ghost, folding clothes, grabbing cash, avoiding mirrors. Nathan stayed quiet, focused. He moved like a soldier, fast, precise, efficient. He wasn't the same man she remembered. Not anymore. By noon they were on the road. Nathan drove, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on her thigh. It should have been comforting. It wasn't. Scarlett's mind kept looping, he belongs to us. So does the child. He had to know more. Tell me something, she said, breaking the silence. Why you? Why were you the one they chose for this experiment? Nathan's jaw tightened. Because I volunteered. Her breath caught. You what? I signed up. They didn't force me. You chose to let them turn you into whatever you are? I didn't know what I was signing. They pitched it as memory enhancement. Stress recovery. I had just lost my brother. I was drowning in grief. I thought it would help. Scarlett turned to the window, blinking fast. You lied to me. Again. I didn't want you to carry that weight. Scarlett didn't sleep. The motel room was quiet, but her mind screamed. Nathan's voice. The baby's heartbeat. The woman's warning. What's walking around now is a weapon. She stared at the burner phone beside her. She hadn't called yet. Not because she believed Nathan completely, but because she wanted to. She needed to. Because for a few stolen nights in the middle of madness, she had loved him again. And maybe that was the most dangerous part. Sunlight leaked through the blinds as she checked out of the motel. Her hand rested protectively on her stomach. She didn't know where to go. But she knew she couldn't run forever. So she went back. Nathan's truck was parked where she left it. The cabin lights were on. She stepped inside slowly. He stood in the kitchen back to her, a gun on the counter. He didn't turn around. You left, he said quietly. Scarlett's throat tightened. I had to. Did they get to you? She didn't answer. He turned finally. His eyes were red. Not bloodshot, glowing. Scarlett stepped back instinctively. I didn't ask for this, he whispered. They used me. Made me into something I never wanted to be. But you brought me back. Did I? She said, voice cracking. Or did they just program you to love me? He moved closer. Then why does it hurt this much? Scarlett blinked. What? He reached out, placing her hand on his chest. She waited. And waited. Still no heartbeat. But beneath the silence something pulsed. Faint. But real. I'm changing, he whispered. And I think it's because of you. Because of the baby. Scarlett's lips parted. You think the baby is fixing you? I don't know. But I'm feeling things I never felt before. Hunger. Pain. Love. Things they erased. He touched her belly. You're saving me, Scarlett. She looked into his eyes, those familiar, haunted, desperate eyes. And she did what she swore she wouldn't. She kissed him. Soft at first. Then deeper. Hotter. She led him to the bed, shedding fear with every piece of clothing. He kissed every inch of her body like it was scripture. Worshipping her. Claiming her. They moved together like fire and wind, twisting, breathless, like it was the last night they'd ever have. Because maybe it was. Later, tangled in sheets, skin warm against skin, Scarlett finally whispered. They said you were built to breed. That the baby was part of their design. Nathan was silent. Then softly, that's what they told me. Scarlett froze. You knew. I didn't believe it. I wanted this to be real. I needed it to be. She pulled away. You let me fall in love with you again, knowing you were created to do it? No, he sat up. I loved you before they touched me. And I love you now. Whatever they did, it didn't come from them. Tears burned her eyes. But how do I know what's you and what's them? He didn't answer. Because neither of them knew. She got up, dressed in silence. Then reached for the burner phone. Nathan stood, eyes wide. Scarlett. Her fingers hovered over the button. I'm not doing this for revenge, she said. I'm doing it for our baby. If there's even a chance they're right, I can't risk raising something they can track, manipulate, or worse. He took a shaky step toward her. Then let me go, he said. Don't call them. Let me disappear. You'll never see me again. I swear it. She stared at him. The man she once loved. The man who died. The man who returned, as something else. She crushed the burner phone beneath her heel. Nathan flinched. She looked up. Run. He stared. You sure? No, she whispered. But I'd rather risk the monster I know, than hand over the man I still love. 1 week later he was gone. No trace. No note. Just silence. 6 years later. A little girl ran across a wildflower field in Colorado, her laugh bright, her green eyes glowing. Scarlett watched from the porch, holding a book in her lap. She didn't talk about him. Not to the neighbors. Not to her daughter. But some nights when the wind howled and the lights flickered, she swore she could feel him near. Watching. Protecting. Still loving. Some love stories never die. But the saddest ones live forever.